I overheard my wife laughing. He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years. I stayed silent until the day she came crying to my door. My name's Damian, 36 years old, male. Been married to Jessica, 34, for almost a decade. If you asked me a month ago, I would have sworn she was my person, my best friend, my anchor, the reason I built the life I did. We met in college. She was magnetic, the kind of girl who never had to try to own a room. Me? I was the quiet one on the sidelines until she noticed me. And once she did, it felt like I'd been pulled out of the shadows into the light. I thought I was lucky. I thought she chose me. Jessica's always had her circle of girlfriends, the kind that thrive on wine, gossip, and chaos. I tolerated it, even when they take over our house with their shrieking laughter, even when I caught the condescending looks like I wasn't in on their private joke. I told myself it was harmless, just girls being girls. Last Saturday night, she had them over again. I wasn't snooping. I was in the garage fixing the damn mower when I heard them through the open window. Jessica's drunk laugh cut through the air, high, sharp, the one she saves for showing off. One of her friends asked her something I didn't catch, and then Jessica's voice landed like a bullet. He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years. And then laughter. Roaring, vicious laughter, like it was the funniest thing in the world. I went cold. My body just locked. I stared down at my grease-stained hands and felt this crushing weight in my chest. Years. Plural. My mind started sprinting, piecing together every night she came home late, every weekend trip with the girls, every vague excuse she tossed my way. Suddenly none of it was innocent. Every memory was a landmine I hadn't stepped on yet. I didn't storm in, I didn't yell, I didn't even move. I just sat there in the half-dark garage, realizing my marriage, the thing I thought was solid, safe, real, was nothing but a joke. And the punchline was me. When the night was over and her friends stumbled out, Jessica came into the garage, kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened, and whispered, "Thanks for giving us space, babe." My skin crawled where her lips touched. I kept my face still. I said nothing, but inside something broke clean in two, and I knew, without doubt, that from that moment forward, everything was different. Hey guys, real quick, before we keep going, don't forget to sub and drop a like if you're enjoying the story. And tell me what you think in the comments. I'll feature the best one in the next video. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling while Jessica snored beside me like nothing had happened. Her words kept echoing in my skull. He's too stupid to realize. Over and over like some sick mantra. The thing is, when you're blindsided like that, your brain doesn't just stay in the present. It starts clawing backward, digging through years of memories looking for the cracks you ignored. And suddenly all the little moments I brushed off started snapping into focus. Jessica had always been flirty, not in a blatant, obvious way, more like a current running under everything she did. A hand on a coworker's arm too long, late-night texts with old friends, laughing too hard at a stranger's joke. I chalked it up to her being outgoing. She thrived on attention, and I convinced myself it was harmless. Hell, I even admired it once. She was the life of the party. I was the quiet guy who didn't know how to work a room. Opposites attract, right? But now, all those moments felt like red flags I'd had painted over with excuses. I remembered the business trips. She started taking them 2 years into our marriage. At first it was just 1 or 2 a year, but by the 5th year she was gone every couple of months. Networking events. Team building. Always with some group of people I'd never met. I used to pack her bags for her, leave little notes in the pockets. God, I was such a fool. Even at home, things had shifted. The intimacy dried up slowly, so slowly I didn't notice until I realized we hadn't really touched in weeks. If I brought it up, she'd sigh and say she was tired, stressed, not in the mood. And when I tried to press, tried to reach her, she'd get defensive, like I was accusing her of something. So I stopped asking. I thought I was being considerate. The worst memory that surfaced that night was her 30th birthday. I'd spent months planning it. A surprise party with all her friends, her favorite band playing, custom cake, the whole thing. She seemed happy that night, buzzing around the room, glowing under the lights. But around midnight, she disappeared. Everyone assumed she'd gone to the bathroom. I found her outside in the parking lot, whispering into her phone. She told me it was her mom. I believed her. I even offered to drive her over there if it was urgent. She laughed it off and told me I was being ridiculous. That was 3 years ago. And now I can't stop wondering who the hell was on the other end of that call. Lying there in the dark, I felt something shift inside me. For years I'd been the dependable one. Damian, the solid guy. Damian, the provider. Damian, the idiot husband who never asked questions because he thought love meant trust. And Jessica knew it. She banked on it. But now I knew. And that changed everything. I didn't move that night. Didn't confront her. Didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. But my silence wasn't weakness. It was planning. Because if she thought I was too stupid to realize, then she had no idea what I was about to do next. The next morning, Jessica was all smiles. She brewed coffee, kissed my shoulder, and started rambling about how fun last night had been. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm so lucky to have you. You never complain when I need girl time." My stomach twisted. Every word felt like poisoned sugar. I smiled back, nodded, played the role. If she noticed anything off, she didn't show it. Maybe she thought I really was too stupid to catch on. But I wasn't stupid anymore. I spent that day in a fog at work. Every time my phone buzzed, I half expected it to be her. Or worse, him, whoever him was. I wanted to scream, to confront her, to demand the truth, but I didn't. I kept thinking about her drunken laugh, that exact phrasing, for years. If that was true, it meant her cheating wasn't just some one-time slip. It was a lifestyle, a routine. And if she'd built a routine, then there had to be patterns, signs I hadn't let myself see. So I started paying attention, really paying attention. First, her phone. Jessica had always been glued to it, but now I noticed how carefully she guarded it. She'd take it into the bathroom, sleep with it under her pillow, angle the screen away from me when she texted. At dinner, if it buzzed, she'd flip it over without checking. Subtle things, but once you're looking, you can't unsee them. Then the gym. She started working out 4 evenings a week, sometimes more. Before, Jessica hated the gym. She used to call it sweat prison. But suddenly she was religious about it. New leggings, a fancy water bottle, even a trainer app. When I offered to come with her, she brushed me off. "You'd just slow me down." Another detail, her lingerie. Pieces I'd never seen before tucked at the back of her drawer. When I asked why she'd never worn them for me, she just shrugged and said she wasn't in the mood for that kind of thing anymore. That night while she showered, I picked up her jeans from the bathroom floor to toss in the laundry basket. Out of habit, I checked the pockets. There was a crumpled receipt from a bar across town, a bar I'd never been to. A bar she told me was too trashy for her taste. The receipt was from the night she'd said she was at a late yoga class. 2 margaritas, 1 whiskey. Not exactly post-yoga hydration. My hands were shaking when I folded the jeans and set them back exactly how I had found them. I didn't want her to know I was on to her, not yet. That night, Jessica curled up next to me in bed and whispered, "I love you." For the first time in our marriage, I didn't whisper it back. She didn't notice. But I did, because that silence was the start of something, the beginning of the end. A week later, I got my confirmation. Not just suspicions, not just scraps of doubt, cold, undeniable proof. Jessica had told me she was going to another girls' night. That phrase had started to taste like poison to me. I kissed her goodbye, watched her drive off in her little silver SUV, and waited. My heart was hammering like I was about to commit a crime. Maybe I was, depending on how you looked at it. I didn't follow her immediately. I waited 20 minutes, then grabbed my keys and left. I didn't have a plan beyond find out the truth. My hands gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles hurt as I drove to that bar from the receipt. Her car was there, parked not in front, but in the shadow of the side lot, half hidden. My stomach dropped, but my feet moved anyway. I walked in. The music was loud, lights dim, but there she was, Jessica, sitting at a corner table laughing, not with her girlfriends, with a man. He leaned in close, hand on her thigh like it belonged there. She didn't flinch. She didn't push him away. She leaned in too, whispering in his ear, her hand brushing his chest like I had seen her do to me 1,000 times. I swear I couldn't breathe. My entire world tilted on its axis. Part of me wanted to march right up, flip the table, and drag her home by the wrist. Another part of me wanted to collapse right there on the sticky floor. Instead, I stood frozen, watching as she kissed him. Not a polite peck. Not some drunken accident. A kiss that screamed history. And that was it. Proof. I slipped back out before she saw me. Drove home in silence. Sat in the garage staring at the wall until her headlights swept across the driveway 2 hours later. When she walked through the door, she was glowing, flushed like she'd had the time of her life. She kissed my cheek and said, "I missed you." I almost laughed in her face. Almost. But I didn't. Not yet. Because the rage boiling in my chest wasn't wild or reckless anymore. It was controlled, focused. If she thought I was too stupid to realize, she was about to learn just how dangerous a quiet man who knows the truth can be. I didn't confront her that night, or the next, or the one after. Jessica thought she was living in a movie where she played the clever leading lady sneaking around behind her clueless husband's back. She had no idea I'd already seen the whole damn script. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that yelling, smashing things, demanding answers, it would give her exactly what she wanted. A scene. A reason to play the victim. "My husband went crazy," she'd tell her friends. "He was paranoid, insecure." I wasn't giving her that. No, I wanted her to not choke on her own lies. So I started planning. Step 1. Evidence. I bought a small cheap camera online and installed it in the garage pointing at the driveway. She never noticed. Within a week I had multiple recordings of her car pulling up, her fixing her hair in the rearview mirror, then climbing out looking like she just rolled out of another man's bed. Once, I even caught her sneaking out in a completely different outfit than she'd left the house in. Step 2. Distance. I stopped initiating. No hugs, no kisses, no questions. I still played the role of husband. Cooking dinner, fixing things, making polite conversation, but emotionally, I was checked out. She didn't notice at first. Then she started poking at it. "You've been so quiet lately, babe. Everything okay?" I'd just smile and say, "I'm fine." The more detached I got, the more nervous she became. Step 3. Timing. I knew her birthday was coming up in a few weeks. Jessica loves birthdays. She lives for the spotlight, the pictures, the attention. Every year she makes it a spectacle. It hit me. What better stage for my reveal than the one day she worships most? I started organizing a surprise party. I called her closest friends, the same women who'd laughed with her that night, and told them I wanted to make it special. They were thrilled. Of course they were. Jessica's husband, the perfect idiot, bending over backwards again. Meanwhile, I prepared my own surprise. The recordings, screenshots, even printed out the bar receipt she'd left in her jeans. I put everything together in a neat little folder. Every night I'd lie in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling, feeling the storm building in my chest. And every morning I'd get up, drink my coffee, and pretend to be the same dependable Damian she thought she could lie to forever. But I wasn't her safety net anymore. I was the rope tightening around her lies. And when her birthday came, I was going to pull it. Jessica's birthday finally arrived. She woke up humming, practically bouncing out of bed like a kid on Christmas. "You didn't forget, right?" she teased, eyes bright. I kissed her forehead and smiled. Of course not. She had no idea. The house was spotless by the time her friends arrived that evening. I'd set up decorations, ordered catering, even bought her favorite cake. Jessica was glowing, twirling around in a new dress, soaking up the compliments. To anyone looking in, we were the perfect couple. That was the point. Around 9 p.m., when the music was playing and the wine was flowing, I stood up with a glass in my hand. "Can I have everyone's attention?" I called out. The room quieted. Jessica beamed at me like I was about to give some sappy toast about how much I adored her. I cleared my throat. "I just want to say how lucky I've been to spend nearly 10 years with this woman. She's beautiful, smart, funny." I let the words hang. "And also very talented at keeping secrets." Jessica's smile faltered. "Damian," she whispered warning in her tone. I pulled the folder from under the table and held it up. "See, my wife has been cheating on me. For years, apparently. And she thought I was too stupid to figure it out." Gas rippled through the room. Jessica's face drained of color. "That's not... Damian, don't..." I flipped open the folder, scattering photos and receipts across the table for everyone to see. Still shots from the garage camera, the bar receipt, screenshots I had pulled from her unlocked laptop while she showered. The evidence was undeniable. Her best friend, the same one who'd laughed that night, covered her mouth. Someone else muttered, "Oh my God." Jessica lunged toward me, grabbing at the papers, but I stepped back. "No, you wanted attention. Here it is. Happy birthday, Jess." The room exploded. People whispering, phones coming out, Jessica screaming at me to stop. She tried to push past me, but tripped on her heels and crashed into the coffee table. The birthday cake smeared across the carpet like some pathetic symbol of everything she'd just lost. She broke down, sobbing, mascara streaking down her face. "Damian, please, can we talk about this privately? Please." I just looked at her. Calm, steady. "I'm done talking." Then I set my ring on the table right on top of the mess of evidence and walked out. The last thing I heard before the door shut was Jessica's friends tearing into her, demanding answers. For the first time in years, I felt free. But that was only the beginning. Because Jessica, she wasn't the type to go quietly. The fallout was immediate. Jessica didn't just fall apart that night, she detonated. By the time I got home from work the next day, she was sitting on the porch steps, mascara smeared, hair a tangled mess, crying like she was auditioning for some tragic soap opera. Damian, please, you don't understand. It didn't mean anything. I love you, she wailed, reaching for me. I stepped back. No, you don't love me. You love the safety net I gave you. There's a difference. Her face twisted. You're really going to throw away everything we built because of a few mistakes? A few, I laughed bitterly. Years, Jessica, years. You said it yourself. That's when the mask cracked. She went from sobbing to furious in a heartbeat. She stood, jabbing her finger into my chest. You think you're some kind of hero for humiliating me in front of everyone? You made me look like trash, Damian. How dare you? Neighbors peeked through blinds while she screamed at me in the driveway. At one point, she actually threw her purse at me, spilling its contents all over the concrete, lipsticks rolling into the gutter, her wallet snapping open. She didn't even notice. That night, she called me 56 times. 56. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree. She left voicemails swinging between begging and raging, crying one second, threatening the next. You'll regret this, Damian. You can't just erase me. Then came the texts. Long walls of apologies, pictures of us from vacations, old selfies. Then when I didn't respond, the insults pathetic, coward, worthless. By day 3, she escalated again. She showed up at my work. Imagine standing in front of your crew while your wife, ex-wife and all but papers, storms into the lot, screaming about how you're ruining her life. My boss had to come outside and tell her to leave or he'd call the cops. She left claw marks on my truck door, actual scratches from her nails, and still, I didn't break. Because every desperate stunt she pulled just proved what I already knew. Jessica wasn't sorry. She wasn't remorseful. She was furious she'd lost control of the narrative. The more she raged, the calmer I became. It drove her insane. And when she showed up at my front door days later, sobbing, clutching a bag of her clothes, saying she had nowhere else to go, that's when I finally gave her the surprise she never expected. It was a rainy Friday night when she finally came crawling back. I heard the knock first. Soft, shaky. When I opened the door, there she was. Jessica, drenched, mascara streaked, clutching a half-packed duffel bag. She looked nothing like the woman who once laughed about how stupid I was. Now she looked small, broken. Damian, she whispered, voice trembling. Please, I don't have anywhere else to go. She stopped herself, but I knew. He, the guy from the bar, the man she'd gambled our marriage on, he was done with her. For a split second, I almost felt pity. Almost. She reached out, trying to step inside, but I blocked the doorway. Jessica, I said, calm as ice. You made your choice. Tears streamed down her face. I messed up, okay? I'll do anything. Just give me one more chance, please. I let her stand there in the rain, her bag slipping from her shoulder, water dripping onto the porch. Then I stepped aside, not to let her in, but to show her what I'd done. Behind me, stacked neatly in the hallway, were the boxes. Every single one of her belongings, clothes, shoes, the framed photos she cared more about posing for than living. I'd gone through the house and packed everything while she was busy blowing up my phone. Her eyes widened. What is this? This, I said, is closure. I picked up one box, handed it to her. Take it. Take all of it. But you don't live here anymore. You don't get to stand in this doorway and pretend like you still belong. She broke then, collapsing onto the porch, sobbing into her hands. Damian, I have nothing! I crouched down so she had to look me in the eyes. No, Jessica, you had everything. A husband who loved you. A life built on trust. And you laughed at it. You laughed at me. So now, You get nothing. I stood, walked back inside, and shut the door. The sound of her crying echoed through the rain for a while, then faded. When I finally looked out the window an hour later, she was gone. Just the boxes sitting in the wet, her duffel abandoned. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. And that freedom, that was the sweetest revenge of all. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and like it. You can also watch more shocking stories in the playlist.